And the chances for compromise were the Crittenden Plan, and that was to extend 3630 to the sea from John J. Crittenden of Kentucky. And the other plan was a 13th Amendment that would make slavery protected by the Constitution, which is ironic because the 13th Amendment, as you well know from your quiz, your reading, and probably knew before, would end slavery, the actual amendment. Neither of them would pass because Lincoln was elected as a free soil Republican. No more slavery in the territories, no more extension. So it's going to end right there. And so, no way, Lincoln, who is still in Springfield, Illinois, while all this is happening, which once again, that, yes, I'm president. Oh, no, now I'm president. So the war had basically begun, even though Lincoln was not yet president. Buchanan was hiding under his desk. So just so we know, these states in blue would all secede by February, and after Texas came in, they would form, just write down, the Confederate States. The Confederate States, sometimes I might call them the Confederacy, either the CSA, Confederate States of America. Sometimes I might just say the rebels. Technically, they're rebels because the United States, of course, never acknowledged they left the Union. That means, I might say the South, but the North, that's the United States. So I call them the United States, the Union, or the North. I don't even realize which one I'm doing. It just comes out. But that's the United States. These states in purple, they're waiting to see. So the upper South. And you'll notice, remember that, or you might remember those percentage of slaves in each state, higher percentage, lower, very few. That's kind of the way it went. But the Confederacy needed the richest and most populous of the slave states still at that time. Virginia. There's no West Virginia yet. The United States would carve that out of Virginia during the war. And the states in orange wouldn't go. They stayed, even though the kind of civil war, especially with Missouri. And one more thing you might notice. Baltimore, right here, all the railroads from the north going to Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, go through Baltimore. That could be a little scary for the United States because there was a lot of secessionists in Baltimore. Okay. So, when Lincoln was inaugurated, that is the situation. Let's write down DBQ. So we're going to do DBQ. I handed this out to you yesterday. And the thing is, I look at things and say, I should have worded this differently. I will make some changes. I kind of condensed it, that first part about what will be in the DBQ. Just, I think that would work better. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. But let me show you what a DBQ will look like. I will show you last year's document-based question. Maybe. So this is last year's. And it was a pretty good question. So this is the actual one given by the College Board of the AP exam last, what was it, May 9th, I think it was. Hour and 40 minutes for 2 essays. It's a good amount of time. There was less than 5, I think, who didn't finish when the left at the end. And they had gotten most of it done. I just didn't finish or close. So it's a lot of time. Once you get going, you're going. The only problem you're going to have is you'll be tired. It's a 4-hour test. I know. And if you're taking more than one AP test, you get a bunch of 4-hour tests. Won't that be fun? Yeah, it's life. So, the actual question is up here. Evaluate the extent to which the role of the federal government in the United States economy changed from 1932 to 1980. It's actually a pretty good question. We will talk about that in class, or that's a big deal with the New Deal, etc. So it was a good question. And until basically the era of liberalism for the era of conservatism started. And that's what documents look like, small, they're actually pretty short. Small little paragraphs, and you're going to have room where you can underline and jot down a few words to remind yourself what the paragraph is about. Did everyone hear what I said? Jot down a few words, because if you read 7 documents, you'll forget what the first one is. You don't want to redo it again. You jot in a few words, you trigger it, know how, if you want to use it. And one more thing, I forgot to say this. When you actually read the question, don't start reading the document yet. Try to do a brainstorm. Bring back stuff. Because if you start reading the documents without that context, without that background, it becomes hard to understand the documents. That means it's going to take longer to read them. You have to go back, be harder to use them in your essay. You have to brainstorm this. So this is what you're going to do on Tuesday. You can come into class with a basic outline. But before you write your essay, you have to do a brainstorming as a 15-page pattern. I want you to come in and be thinking about it. So if the essay question is about secession, which it is, you can do anything for the 1850s and early 1860s. Some will be in your essay, some won't, but I want you to get your mind into it before you start writing. Because once you start writing, all you're thinking about is finishing. So you want your mind going. I can always tell when people do this. Of course, you're going to go back and look at your documents. But when people have to look back to their documents a bunch of times, that means their mind wasn't in tune yet. Start you have to kind of think about it. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I am. So, document 2, picture, no explanation. It's about the interstate highway system, etc. And if you don't like the document, you start reading it and say, this doesn't make sense. Throw it out. You're going to only need 4 documents. You get 7 or 8, it's the norm. So you have a chance. You go, I don't like this. I can't figure out what it is. But if you want to talk about secession and you want to use the Republican Party in the election of 1860, you find one, oh, this is the Republican free soil position. This document works. Jot it down, free soil, and you have it ready to use in your essay. Can you quote? Do not quote your documents. Not quote. If that's different than other classes. Yeah, it's just your own words. Show that you know what the document means when you show you know what it means. So if it mentions the Republican position and no slavery in the territories, that shows the free soil position. Show you know what it means. And use that as evidence. Okay. And then remember, for 2 of them, we need a why statement, which we talked about yesterday. I think they're really good questions. But with a limited amount of time, we got to be mechanical. It's just the way life is. So let's go back and look. I condensed the kind of outline for DBQ. I condensed that. So basically what is right here. So we got that introduction, topic, context. Remember, you need 3 or 4 sentences, thesis. It's got to be in your open. You got to have context, background. If you're going to talk about secession, and so you're going to talk about different ideology. Remember the positive good theory, free labor. You're going to talk about the election in your body paragraphs. In context, that's when you can mention like the Mexican War, Compromise of 1850. Bleeding Kansas, if that's not going to be in your body paragraphs. Talk about those events that led up to actual secession. If they're not going to be in your body paragraphs, put some examples of that in your context in the introduction. So then you show, I got background, I got material, I know the context, I know the era it's in. All right, body paragraph. This is just like other body paragraphs. It's like a big short ID question. Got to have a topic sentence. Then you have to have an explanation. There has to be a sentence to explain that topic. So a little bit about the election of 1860, a little bit about the Dred Scott decision. I'm just throwing things out there from that era. You need that sentence. Don't start with documents yet. Explain it. Then use the documents that reinforce, I say, this claim, whatever you're talking about in that paragraph. So 2 documents per paragraph. Evidence number 1, document. Might have a why statement or have. Evidence 2, second document. One of these 2 need a why statement. Now these are big paragraphs, just the way it is. You need 3 pieces of evidence. Like for short ID, you need 1. For regular essay, you need 2. For DBQ, you need 2. Just go with it once. Outside information, it's called stuff outside the document. So you need one more example. And then that last sentence, they call it complex understanding, but that's the importance, that's the analysis. Have it all. Show it out the links. It's mechanical, I know. This is not creative writing, we don't have time. If we had time, we could go back and proofread it and go back through it, yeah. There'll be a lot more openings, but we just don't have them. So it's a nice way. It doesn't have to be in this exact order, but you need these things. Topic, explanation, 3 pieces of evidence, 2 are for the documents, and then 1 thing tying it together. How many sentences? It's not that big. 1 to 2, 1 to 2, at least maybe 1 to 2. 1 sentence, 1 to 2 sentences and 1 more sentence. I mean, at most 9 sentences. So no, that's easy for me to say. I'm not the one writing it, but that's impossible. Any questions on that? These are great questions because the documents will give you a hint. And if you're not sure about something, even if you're kind of, if you brainstorm a few, like your mind is shut off, start reading the documents and turn them. You're like, oh, I remember that. Oh yeah, okay. This will work. This will work. I know this. One more thing I'll show you. That is an outline. That's an outline from last year's DBQ. This one's on the dropping of the atomic bomb. It just shows you the basic outline. So, you notice how she just has 1 or 2 words for each one. You can have that. Done a few for context, which is really smart. Thesis, you can write the full thesis. You can have that coming into class because you will turn it in. So you could come into class on Tuesday with this part done. That part I'll let you opt in. But then you have to be able to write down quick brainstorm. But everything from the Mexican War up into the first Battle of Bull Run, you can have it all. You know, just get down stuff. Get things, get your mind going. And then you notice Doc B. And that one talks about Japan being on the verge of collapse before the atomic bomb. So just talk about that. And put a little star there. No, that's the one with the Y statement. She did a 5-paragraph essay because there are a few who are thinking, well, I'm going to do a couple more documents just to make sure I get credit for all the documents. I'm not making you do that for this one. It's just a 4-paragraph essay. Last thing I'll show you, you have to cite your documents. That sentence, you paraphrase it. And so here's 2 documents. One, I should put this in bold, I didn't. Document 1, Republican Party platform. Document 2, the Southern Democratic platform. And by the way, this is a little tricky thing, and I'm showing you this because I want to make sure we get it. This might be also a hint for your essay. It says, existence or any individual to give legal assistance to slavery in any territory of the United States. Remember, there are states and territories. And what is the no slavery in the territory position called? We should all know this. Free soil. It doesn't say that. You add that. You get. That's a great thing to put in there. 2 examples. And there's no Y statement there. These are just using these documents to prove 2 different positions. That's showing you the Republican position and the Democratic position. The documents, right? Yeah. Look good? I will put a copy of this. It will be on Teams. Give these couple examples, but this is a third of your AP exam. So we'll do a few of these in class, but they're also good questions. They're good questions. They fit what I want to do in the class. I'll give you the documents tomorrow. And so you can ask any questions for it on Monday and start writing on Tuesday. Let us begin the video. We're on question number 19. Here we go.